Thank you for joining Wars of the Rosies. And this is Abiff from the Encyclopedia of Freemasonry by Albert G. Mackey. Abiff, or perhaps more correctly, Abif, an epithet which has been applied in Scripture to that celebrated builder who was sent to Jerusalem by King Hiram of Tyre to superintend the construction of the temple. The word, which in the original Hebrew is seen here, and which may be pronounced Abif or Abiff, is compounded of the noun in the construct state, here, by meaning father, and the pronominal suffix seen here, which, with the preceding vowel sound, is to be sounded as iv or if, and which means his, so that the word thus compounded, Abiff, literally and grammatically signifies his father. The word is found in 2 Chronicles 4:16 in the following sentence. The pots also, and the shovels, and the flesh hooks, and all their instruments did Hiram, his father, make to King Solomon. The latter part of this verse is in the original as follows. Luther has been more literal in his translation of this passage than the English translators, and appearing to suppose that the word Abif is to be considered simply as an appellative or surname. He preserves the Hebrew form, his translation being as follows. The Swedish version is equally exact, and instead of Hiram his father, gives us Hiram Abif. In the Latin Vulgate, as in the English version, the words are rendered thus. I have little doubt that Luther and the Swedish translator were correct in treating the word Abif as an appellative. In Hebrew, the word ab, or father, is often used, honoris causa, as a title of respect, and may then signify friend, counselor, wise man, or something else of equivalent character. Thus, Dr. Clark, commenting on the word, a breach in Genesis 41:43 says, father seems to have been a name of office, and probably father of the king or father of Pharaoh might signify the same as the king's minister among us. And on the very passage in which this word Abif is used, he says, father is often used in Hebrew to signify master, inventor, chief operator. Gazanius, the distinguished Hebrew lexicographer, gives to this word similar significations, such as benefactor, master, teacher, and says that in the Arabic and the Ethiopic, it is spoken of one who excels in everything. This idiomatic custom was pursued by the late Hebrews, for Buxtorf tells us, in his Talmudic lexicon, that among the Talmudists, Abba, father, was always a title of honor, and he quotes the following remarks from a treatise of the celebrated Maimonides, who, when speaking of the grades or ranks into which the rabbinical doctors were divided, says, the first class consists of those each of whom bears his own name, without any title of honor, the second of those who are called rabbinim, and the third of those who are called rabbi. And the men of this class also receive the cognomen of Abba, father. Again in 2 Chronicles 2:13, Hiram, the king of Tyre, referring to the same Hiram, the widow's son, who is spoken of subsequently in reference to King Solomon as his father, or Abif in the passage already cited, writes to Solomon, and now I have sent a cunning man, endued with understanding, of Hiram my fathers. The only difficulty in this sentence is to be found in the prefixing of the letter Lamed before Hiram, which has caused our translators, by a strange blunder, to render the words Luhiram Abi as meaning of Hiram my fathers, instead of Hiram my father. It may be remarked that this could not be the true meaning, for the father of King Hiram was not another Hiram, but Abif Baal. Luther has again taken the correct view of this subject and translates the word as an appellative, as seen here. That is, so now I send you a wise man who has understanding, Hiram Abif. The truth, I suspect, is, although it has escaped all the commentaries, that the Lamed in this passage is a Chaldeism, which is sometimes used by the late Hebrew writers, who incorrectly employ this sign, the sign of the dative, for the accusative after transitive verbs. Thus, in Jeremiah 40:2, we have such a construction as seen here, that is literally, and the captain of the guards took for Jeremiah, where these two symbols, or for, is a Chaldeism and redundant, the true rendering being, and the captain of the guards took Jeremiah. Other similar passages are to be found in Lamentations 4:5, Job 5:2, etc. In like manner, I suppose this symbol before Hiram, which the English translators have rendered by the preposition of to be redundant, and a Chaldaic form. The sentence should be read thus: I have sent a cunning man, endued with understanding, Hiram my father, or, if considered as an appellative, as it should be, Hiram Abi. For all this I conclude that the word Ab, with its different suffixes, is always used in the Book of Kings and Chronicles in reference to Hiram the builder as a title of respect. When King Hiram speaks of him, he calls him my father Hiram, Hiram Abi. And when the writer of the Book of Chronicles is speaking of him and King Solomon in the same passage, he calls him Solomon's father, his father, Hiram Abiff. The only difference is made by the different appellation of the pronouns my and his in Hebrew. To both the kings of Tyre and of Judea he bore the honorable relation of Ab, or father, equivalent to friend, counselor, or minister. He was Father Hiram. The Masons are therefore perfectly correct in refusing to adopt the translation of the English version and in preserving, after the example of Luther, the word Abiff as an appellative, surname, or title of honor, and distinction bestowed upon the chief builder of the temple. As Dr. James Anderson suggests in his note on the subject in the first edition, 1723, of the Constitutions of the Freemasons. ELH. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. And if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Rosies. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.